Welcome to STEM Careers with Newton's Road for 6th through 12th grade students. Each week we will be joined by experts from organizations to help you explore STEM-related careers in our region. My name is Barb Tremott, and I'm the Executive Director of Newton's Road. We're a regional nonprofit supporting STEM learning and career exploration. I also have with me today our Michigan Tech University intern, Annalisa Wiesner.
Hi, everyone.
And we have a very special guest today, Dan Goodchild, and he is here to talk with us today about becoming a carpenter.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me.
So Dan is the program coordinator for construction at NMC, and there's also a related renewable energy program. He started out as an Air Force pilot and is a licensed master electrician. And I look forward to hearing more about that life-changing event. So thanks for joining us, Dan.
Thank you.
This session is going to be recorded and available on our Newton's Road Facebook Live and YouTube channels. And if you join us from Facebook Live, please add any questions that you may have for Dan or Newton's Road team in the comment area. And for right now, we're going to show a little bit about Newton's Road. In 2020, we are celebrating 10 years of working to ensure that all youth in our region, our 5-county region, have access to quality STEM learning. And we want you all to become fantastic problem solvers. And we're going to show you a few resources on our website. So if you were wondering about, say, next week's STEM Careers program, and how to log in, you can just go to our homepage at newtonsroad.org and click the alert, and it'll take you right to the information about our upcoming and recorded episodes. You could also do the same on our Facebook Live page, as I mentioned. If you would like to get notice of all the things that we have available, please join our mailing list if you just scroll down on the homepage. And mostly just your email and your name, etc., is very quick to sign up, and you'll get a monthly newsletter from us that talks about things that we're doing and also that other STEM and STEAM related organizations in our region are doing on events, live, virtual, recorded, etc. Okay, and we also, since we're focused on careers, we'd like to show you our careers page. And that's also in the parents and students column. And here is kind of a one-stop list of all of the different ways that we have heard about or know about to explore careers in our region. Some of them are, clubs you can do. Some of them are websites that you can get information. Some of them are specialized to certain industries. And some of them are more general across all industries. And so with no further ado, we're going to be getting back to Dan and learn all about becoming a carpenter and other related roles. Thanks, Dan. It's all yours.
All right. Thank you for having me on today. I just wanted to first, a little bit extra background. So I've been the program coordinator at NMC now for just over 10 years. And I actually started as a full-time instructor in the electrical trades. Now I kind of oversee carpentry, electrical, HVAC, all these trades. And I'm really excited to be able to talk about carpentry today because that is where that life-changing event occurred. It was some very sage and I guess optimistic advice given me by not someone I would really call a carpenter, because actually he was a timber framer, which is kind of one of the niche specialties a carpenter goes into. But I had difficulty in running some electrical wire for a timber frame house. And this is what he basically said to me was, this is not a problem. This is an opportunity for greatness. So I worked closely with him, and there we were able to get this timber frame house wired up without really making it look like, it's like, how did that wire get through all these timbers? Well, it's magic, so. But it was a great experience, and just helped me look at problems from a very positive point of view, and how can I overcome it rather than it can't be done. So we can go to the next slide. Start talking about carpentry. So yeah, what do carpenters do? Well, starting out, most carpenters are going in, they begin in the residential area. So they're working with what we call dimensional lumber. You know, if you're familiar with 2x4s and 2x6s and stuff like that, that's where they start, just by learning how to read blueprints. Our first, students that come in, the first thing they're taught is how to measure, cut, and attach. And it's like when they come out of their first semester classes, that's all they say. And they're probably saying it in their sleep is measure, cut, attach, measure, cut, attach. I've got 3 instructors in the carpentry field, and my main carpentry instructor who teaches foundations and framing and intro to carpentry and blueprint reading. That's what he handles, and we begin with wood. And so that's what you're doing is you're learning how to do stairs, you're learning how to cut roof rafters, you're learning about wind loads on home structures, and basically how to build a home is where you begin. So we can go to the next slide. So how do you know if you want to be a carpenter? Well, first of all, if you like working with your hands, it's a great career field to work with, to get into. You're going to be using all kinds of different tools. If you like solving problems, because I've been in the construction field since right after I got out of the Air Force. So, I have over probably 20 years in the construction field now. And every day is a problem solving task. Nothing ever goes perfect. And so it's great you really get to think. And so that's one thing we're really looking for too, is it's not the career field to do because you don't know how to do anything else. I mean, it really, there is a lot of problem solving involved, a lot of math. And if you like working outdoors, some days like today, for example, that's where I would rather be right now, is outdoors. But a lot of people, working outdoors most of the time, and especially in the carpentry field, because nobody gets to work inside until the carpenter's done. So that's really good too. And then working independently, and even if you plan on someday going to start your own business or run a company, or just be somebody who's actually running several jobs, if not your own business. So a lot of independent thinking ability, and you also will eventually need to get some supervisory skills. Next slide, please. So Construction Technology Lab. This is just a picture of the front of our building. It is the Construction Skills Development Center at the Aero Park Laboratories. Inside this building is 25,000 square feet. We have 3 very large bays where we actually build small mock-ups of homes, or we might do something like a deer blind or something, just something to get people an idea of how do you actually build a house, familiar with the nomenclature and process of building a home. So if you're interested, the first place to start is by going to nmc.edu, and that's where you can apply to be a student. You'll attend classes at our facility here, which is off Aero Park Drive. And all my instructors are what we call adjunct instructors. So they work all day out in the field. So they are literally, professionals in the trade that they are teaching here. And I think pretty much all my instructors now have been teaching here a minimum of 5 years, although I do have a couple new ones just coming on this fall. But in the carpentry area specifically, I have 2 instructors who will be specifically teaching carpentry, and then one who teaches woodworking, which is another area that carpenters can kind of spur off into, learning how to do cabinetry, trim, even small furniture. And then our classes, we cap them at 15 per class. So we get to keep pretty small class sizes so that the instructors can have really good one-on-one interaction with each of the students. and adapt the class to the skill level of the students. And then also, primarily because my instructors work during the day, all our classes are at night. So this allows students to actually get a job and go work in the field and get that on the job training, and then come get that academic reinforcement to what they've learned during the day on the job. So typically our classes start about 6 o'clock at night. Each class is one night a week, and we'll have some students taking 2 or 3 classes per week. So we'll see them 2 or 3 times a week, and they go from about 6 to 10. Next slide, please. So why get involved in carpentry? Well, number one, right now, there is a really huge need for carpenters out there. The average age of really people across the board in the trades is around 45. So a lot of them are looking at retiring very soon. Great pay. A lot of carpenters, knowing nothing right now, are coming in starting anywhere from $14 to $16 an hour, depending on the company they get with. And then ultimately median. Now this information I have on this slide is coming from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. And they're saying that the median per hour is around 23. So that would be someone who's been in for probably around 4 years, completed some type of apprenticeship. And but then it just goes up from there depending on how much more education you get, how much more responsibility you're willing to take on, and how many different skills you develop along the way. Again, hands-on every day. You're working with different tools every day, and then almost daily. Of course, you'll be on some jobs maybe 2-3 months, maybe even 4. But then you're off to another quote unquote office. So you change a lot. And early on in the carpentry field, especially at the entry level, you'll be moved from job to job. Probably, you may be 2 or 3 days a week at a different job. And that's just to help reinforce. Some jobs may have a higher priority and quicker finish time. So we get more people on those. And so the entry level guys get a lot of exposure to a lot of different things early on. And then of course this shows about an 80,000 employment change in the next 10 years. And I've seen statistics even higher than that. This is nationally, and even through the National Association of Home Builders, just in home builders alone, they've been talking about a need of over 100,000 in the next 10 years. Next slide, please. So construction technology for the carpentry side, some places to get started. If you're in, early on, 8th to 10th grade, we have transfer agreements with all of the career tech centers in the Northwest region, the Traverse Bay area, the Wexford, Misaki, and the Shar-M career tech centers. We get quite a few students coming in from all of those areas. And typically they'll have at least 1, if not 2 classes that they get credit for coming from those career tech centers. So they get kind of a little bit of a step up. So after applying to NMC, you'll end up talking to an advisor. And in the carpentry area, we have a couple paths that you can follow. 2 certificates in carpentry. Our level 1 can be completed in as short as 2 semesters. It's 6 classes. So you take 3 in the fall, 3 in the spring, and you're done. What does that get you? Foundations in framing, basic or introduction to carpentry, blueprint reading, interior construction, exterior construction, and then construction supervision. The keynote of those 6 classes is the construction supervision class is also approved by the state of Michigan as the 60-hour pre-licensure course that is required before you can go take your residential builders and restoration license. So basically by the time you complete that, you could technically go get your license. I kind of recommend most students to hold off until they've worked in the field a little bit before looking at going into that. But that would then lead into going into what we have as a construction management associate's degree. And that there really sets you up to ultimately look at going into business for yourself, one of the key courses in there is a cost estimating class. That's kind of the capstone of that program. No business will survive very long unless they have somebody who knows how to do good cost estimating. So that's the big bonus of that program there. Next slide, please. So on the subject of construction management, there are a lot of companies that are really looking at trying to get their senior workers to step up and take leadership of companies. A lot of them are just like, you know, I'm just about done. I'm about ready to retire in my current position. So they're having a hard time even filling positions of construction managers and cost estimators. So as you can see here, they have a very fast growth rate over the next 10 years. And their median wage is, you know, double the median wage of carpenters, and in some cases even more. So again, a very lucrative job position to go after. And again, a great field to go working in. Here, you'll end up broadening your scope of knowledge, picking up probably some classes and learning a little bit about electrical, HVAC, anybody that might be coming on the job that you will be supervising. So this is where you go if you want to be, say, a general contractor. You're going to have subs that you're going to be scheduling in, keeping track of. And it's just good to know that they know what they're doing. And if you have some knowledge of that, it just makes it all the better. So you can kind of keep track of them. Next slide, please. So at the Construction Technology Labs, you can see here, this is just a half picture of one of our bays in there. And there we have a small house that was built several years ago. It changes every semester, just about. We build stuff and then we auction it off or raffle it off, or have people give us some kind of donation for the structures we build to send on to them. Like I said, we have classes. Each class is one night a week. We are, even this fall, although the COVID has affected how we're going to be presenting classes, we are still going to be having our hands-on labs. We're going to be arranging them so that students can, as best as possible, maintain that 6-foot distance. We will be requiring masks, but we'll be sanitizing all our tools and still making sure we get in there to get that hands-on experience. We will be following not only the rules set out through the CDC, but the National Association for Home Builders actually put out a whole construction job site observation, you know, how to observe this social distancing and stuff on the job, so that we'll be following those as well. And that way they also get, the students will also get an experience of what is it like to actually be on the job in these days and times while they're in the lab here. So I pretty much mentioned all of the other items on this slide here. The other real big one is that we do have scholarships available. And those are available through the Home Builders Association of Grand Traverse area, the Builders Exchange in Northwest Michigan, and then also through our North NMC Foundation. Those are all available typically to apply for in late August, early September. And I guess, you know, it would also be good to note a lot of students who come in, if they hire on with one of especially the member contractors through HBA or Builders Exchange, a lot of those contractors are offering to pay for some, if not all, of their tuition as well. So between scholarships and companies willing to pay for tuition, our students are going through these programs practically tuition free. A lot of times there are some fees attached, and of course there's books as well, but depending on the contractor you hire on with, they're picking up the tab on a lot of that, particularly if you're a good student. So that's just a really great incentive also to consider going into any of these trade programs, carpentry in particular. You have students that come in, they don't have to get student loans. They're learning on the job. They're getting hands-on skills. They're working at the same time. And so when they leave school, they've not only got some good experience already developed, they have no student loans, and they've been bringing home a paycheck the whole time too. It's just, it's a win-win all the way around. And the contractors as well, they get a chance to see, how well is this student going to work not only in the field, but with my particular company. Next slide, please. So a couple other opportunities that we have available to kind of give some career exposure. This is probably the biggest one of all, is our Building Tomorrow event. We've been doing this, we're going on 5 years now. We usually hold it in October. We open it up to 8th to 10th graders, but we've had some juniors and seniors come through as well. But we take our whole building, and for 2 days, we kind of divide it up into time slots. In the past, schools have called us up and arranged certain time slots to bring so many students from their school through. And in the past, we've had 5 rotations going through different areas of the building. This year, we're adding a couple rotations for automotive as well, because that's another industry that really needs help. So what they'll do is they'll get 15 minutes in the carpentry area using carpentry tools, cutting wood, using hammers, nailers, all different kinds, like from the pneumatic to the battery powered nailers. So they get a chance to really put their hands on the tools and see how they work, and just get an experience of it. Same with, they'll go through welding. They'll go into, out in our parking lot, Elmer's comes out with their mini excavator. So they get to pilot one of those. In our HVAC area, they'll get to see a demonstration of how an air conditioner actually works, and then actually do a little small soldering project on some copper pipe. They'll go into our electrical area and get to wire some switches and lighting together. So the sign up for this will be opening up in September. And then, we encourage not only the students to come out, but their parents, so that they can see what's going on, and also get a little experience at. And, sometimes parents, they're looking to make a career change. Next slide, please. Lastly is a big initiative that has been started in cooperation with both myself, the Home Builders Association, and the Builders Exchange. We call it Build Your Life. Right now, it's just a big marketing campaign to bring awareness to the need of the entire industry for people to get involved, to transfer, and to become part of this. We are working with not just builders and electricians and contractors. We're working with the automotive industry, because builders need vehicles. We're working with bankers. We're working with realtors, and these are all people that depend on, work with, and need help to support our construction industry. So just something to keep an eye out for. And we do have a live website that will be actually posting companies who are looking for workers. And I believe that's my last slide.
Well,
Thanks,
thank you.
Dan. I have a question for you, Dan. I have some friends that are in construction and that haven't gone to school, so they're learning on the job. So why come to NMC and get trained in construction versus just going on the job?
Well, one of the main reasons, so we do get some students that come in and they've been working in the field for 2, 3, sometimes 5 years, but they never had any formal education. So they eventually get to a point where they want to actually learn the terminology for different types of framing. There's king studs, there's jack studs. What are those? What are joists? Sill joists. There's a whole lot of different terminology. So number one, it's just to become a little more familiar with the terminology. Number two, a lot of them realize, and sometimes I'm not exactly sure why they decided to come to classes, but they do. And then they realize, wow, I was doing a lot of stuff that I really didn't understand. And I was actually doing some things that were probably not right. So it's just to get more educated about structures, really. And then some of them will come to schools because they want to take that 60-hour pre-licensure course and go get their license. And that's really the biggest one. A lot of them, yeah, they've been out there working, but really, unless you have to do a pre-licensure course before you can apply to take that exam. So that's one of the biggest right there.
Mm.
Do you recommend continuing education right out of high school, or do you recommend maybe going and getting some experience for a year and then coming to NMC?
For any of the trades, I would say coming right out of high school, go ahead and get started. I'll talk about this more in an upcoming episode on electricians, but carpentry doesn't have a apprenticeship requirement per se. The only requirement there is you have to do that pre-licensure course before you can get your license. But really, coming right out of high school, this is a great experience because while we do have a math requirement, it's not something you have to do right away. So you get to come right in and just start swinging a hammer or cutting some wood. And I think that's really a great experience. You just get to come right in and start doing stuff rather than reading a book and like being remembered of why you're so glad you're done with high school.
So Dan, what about, like you talked about going into a management role and things, can you talk about the importance of people skills, generally called soft skills, in the life of a carpenter?
Yeah, so the carpenter, and especially if you're looking at becoming a business owner, general contractor, you're the first person to talk to the customer. And it's really important to be, a good listener, to understand, and you really try to interpret their vision of and understand their expectations of what they are hiring you to do. So you really have to get to know people, and you have to be willing to take a lot of criticism. One of the biggest things, and I see this a lot, I watch a lot of the DIY shows and stuff, and you see contractors go in and talk to people, and they start working, and the people come and say, "Are you sure you're doing this right?" And it's like, I'm the professional. I'm the one you hired to do this. Of course I know it. But I mean, you have to be very empathetic that people really don't understand a lot of the intricacies that go into building and construction. So you really have to be able to, talk them through it and help them understand what it is you're doing.
That makes a lot of sense. So Annalisa, did you have any other quick question? I don't know, we're running out of time.
I have a quick question. I think we have about 30 seconds left, but Dan, could you talk a little bit just about some of the specialties that you could go into?
Well, as I mentioned earlier, there's timber framers, and then you have the whole area of woodworking. That you have, we're looking at commercial or even industrial construction, which that's where you get into using a lot more metal studs or even going into steel work. So, it depends on which path you want to go. As a carpenter, you may want to pick up some welding classes. So you can learn how to do some of that as well. So, you're looking at building, you look at what carpentry is very specific. I think you could then broaden that into just being a builder. And what do you want to build? Do you want to build houses? Do you want to build amusement parks? Do you want to build high rises? That's where you can go with this.
That's fabulous. Thank you so much for opening our eyes to the breadth of possibilities with a career in carpentry. Thank you so much, Dan. And we look forward to having you back.
Yeah.
And thanks to all of you for joining STEM at Home Live with Newton's Road. And we also want to note that we would not be here without the support of our sponsors, partners, and other supporters. So thank you so much for all of you. And we hope to see you again next Thursday. We're going to be talking about geophysical information systems, GIS, and the careers that are related to that skill set at same place, same time. So hope to see you then. Thank you.